All right, so the first of the big three is aperture. And when you think of aperture, you should think of the lens, because everything aperture related is actually happening in the lens. And actually, if you look through the lens, in some lenses you can actually see it, the aperture getting smaller and larger.
Aperture is measured in f-stops. So when we're talking about aperture, we're going to be saying things like f1.4 or f16 or f5.6. So this lens has a maximum aperture of 1.4 and goes all the way to f16. Even if your lens doesn't list the full range of f-stops like this one, it probably has a maximum aperture range listed somewhere on your lens.
So there's two things that aperture controls, and the first one is going to be the amount of light that you're allowing to pass through the lens. So if you have a low f-stop number like an f2, that means that your aperture is going to be wide open, and so light is going to flood through that lens. Now if you have an f-stop number like f16 or f22, what you're doing is actually the aperture hole in there is getting smaller. So you're going to be restricting the amount of light that will be coming into your camera. The second thing that aperture controls is called depth of field. And basically the way this works is if you have a low f-stop number, like an f2, the lower the number is, the fewer amount of things that will be in focus. So that's just a good, easy way to remember it. If you have a low number, then only a few things will be in focus. And so the opposite of that is if you have a high number like f16 or f22, then you'll have a lot of things in focus. And so if you have a low f-stop number like f2, then that's called shallow depth of field. And if you have a high f-stop number like f22, that's referred to as a great or deep depth of field.